Nothing gets the crowd going like a comeback. We just saw it a little while ago at Luminosity Makes Moves Miami. Comebacks make up so many of the most memorable games in any form of competition. Tom Brady leading the Patriots back from 28-3 against the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 51, Reggie Miller's 8 points in 9 seconds to steal Game 1 of the 1995 Eastern Conference Finals from the New York Knicks, the Daigo Parry, Evo Moment 37 to steal victory from Justin Wong. No matter what sport you follow or competitive scene you're a part of, you can probably think of that comeback. The game that you were absolutely certain was lost, but somehow turned into an unforgettable victory. The great ones are canon events, games that turn into stories we pass down from generation to generation. And today, I'm going to dissect what it takes for a single game comeback to be truly historic. Thank you to Rocket Money, who is paid to be mentioned in today's video. It's the Big 2-6, and whether you're spending on a new gym membership or treating yourself to a post-holiday gift, it's important to stay on top of your finances. Rocket Money provides a top-down overview of all of your income and expenses. You get a full view of everything going on, all of your spending, and how it might have gone up or down month over month. The real advantage of Rocket Money, in my opinion, is that they track and manage all of your subscriptions. By connecting my checking or savings account, Rocket Money can see where I'm making recurrent payments for a subscription, offer me to cancel, or even utilize their experts to negotiate bills with certain providers. And I actually have a real life example of this too. I put my dad on Rocket Money well before they started partnering with me, and the negotiation feature saved him a good chunk of cash on some of his recurring bills. I forget about my subscriptions literally all the time, so imagine how much of a convenience this may be to my father, who can't really use a cell phone. Anyway, if you're interested in getting a bit more control over your finances, you can get a free premium trial when you sign up with my link at rocketmoney.com/turndownforwalt, or you can scan the QR code right here, or wherever it may be. Thanks again to Rocket Money for supporting the channel, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. So, what turns a good comeback into a great comeback? There has to be more than just simply winning despite a huge deficit. Yeah, I'm sure the 4-stock comeback your Roy made against your buddies Fox was super sick, but it fails the next criteria for a truly great comeback. It has to be on a big stage against a great player. To be in contention for the greatest comeback of all time, it has to happen at a high-stakes tournament and kind of deep in bracket, I would say. The biggest comeback in the National Football League regular season history came 3 years ago, when the Minnesota Vikings turned a 33-0 deficit against the Indianapolis Colts into a 39-36 overtime victory. That's a great and memorable comeback, absolutely, but the most memorable comeback? Unfortunately, that still kind of has to go to Brady and the Patriots for doing it at the Super Bowl. There's also pretty clearly a degree of difficulty multiplier when it comes to what makes us remember a comeback. Take Evo Moment 37, for example. Definitely a big moment on the big stage, but a lot of people forget this wasn't actually grand finals of the tournament. This was losers finals for 3rd place, and Daigo Umehara would go on to lose to another Japanese Street Fighter great in grand finals, KO. But because of the combination of the prestige of the tournament, the tension of the last hit situation, and the novelty of a player hitting that difficult parry to win a set under that much pressure, Moment 37 still became the most memorable fighting game moment of all time. And then the final box to check. It has to be part of a set win. Ideally, it's a clinching win in a set, or perhaps it kicks off a reverse sweep for some extra drama points. We almost got that one that certainly would have joined the Melee canon last year at Luminosity Makes Moves Miami. Facing elimination in the Grand Finals reset against Hungrybox, Moki went down 3 stocks to 1 with both players at 0%. Especially given the Melee context that Fox practically starts his stock at kill percent against Jigglypuff, things looked hopeless. But Moki didn't give up. He played out of his mind for the next couple of minutes, forced the game to even stocks, and was able to take advantage of a missed rest from H-God. All of a sudden, this set was headed to Game 5, and the crowd was fully activated. Had Moki won this set to clinch the reset and win the tournament, I probably already would have made the video about the new greatest comeback of all time. But Hungrybox was able to recover and win Game 5 to take this tournament. And now, don't get me wrong, Moki's comeback was insane play and about as well you'll ever see somebody play for a single game. But the historic comebacks we'll look at today all led to a victory. So, these are the boxes we're looking to check. Huge deficits, high execution plays, big momentum swings, and an eventual win in a high-stakes set. Let's start with some comebacks that check most of the boxes but come just short of one. Northeastern Smash Attack 2 in 2014 was a regional. Definitely not a big enough tournament to check the biggest stage box. Despite that though, the comeback Gravy made in Game 2 of Loser Semis checks the size of deficit and degree of difficulty boxes so thoroughly that it has to be discussed. Facing Korean DJ, Gravy went down 4 stocks to 1. He did have at least one thing going for him though. He was on Dreamland, which meant if he played well, he could really make this final stock last. He was going to have to do just that to have any chance at all. When Gravy took KDJ's 3rd stock, he was at 167%, a number that makes it feel like the next hit should kill for sure. But Marthritis is a very real thing, and pretty much all Gravy was giving up was grabs. Korean DJ had a few openings that probably should have led to the win, but Gravy's recoveries were on point, and he just kept dodging KDJ's attempts to follow up after throws. A truly insane and memorable comeback, even if it didn't come at a major.
He's gonna probably have at least another 20% for that.
Gravy? Is he about to... Gravy? Gravy?
Oh my goodness.
Gravy?
No! No way. Come on, Dan. No! Oh my god!
Fun fact, Gravy hasn't competed in Melee in over 7 years, but he did finish top 24 at EVO 2025 in Rivals 2. The dude has a nasty Orcane, and he can deadlift with his baby attached to his body, which is beast. In 2017, Smash legend Isaiah went to Peru for one of the biggest Smash 64 tournaments of the year, Inkafest. Peru is one of the strongest Smash 64 scenes in the world, producing a Genesis champion Alvin and 2 other globally ranked players in Joshi and Gohan. Peru is also where the legendary 53-minute game between Super Boomfan and Gerson that forced Smash 64 to add a timer happened. By the way, if you're an Undertale fan and some of those names sound familiar, you're not going crazy. Toby Fox really named some of his characters after Smash 64 players from Peru. Let me know if you want to see a video on that. Anyway, Isaiah was a favorite at Inkafest 2017, as he usually is when he enters a Smash 64 bracket. But Chilean Kirby player Nax had him on the ropes in losers quarters. Already down 2-0, Isaiah fell behind again in Game 3. The biggest deficit he faced was only a little over a full stock, so I would say this one fails to check the size of deficit box, but this one lives on in the memories of 64 players because of just how close to death he was, and just how quickly he turned defeat into victory. After Nax hit a back air to send Isaiah off stage, it looked like the set was over, but Isaiah is a legend for a reason.
Oh my god! He can still make this! Oh, is this so good of a This is incredible!
In terms of the deficit overcome, this one's pretty weak, I'm not gonna lie. But in every other way, it delivers. Isaiah's back was to the wall, and he took the one tiny opening he had and found exactly the hits he needed to take the stock. The combo was just hot, and thanks in part to the momentum generated by this comeback, Isaiah was able to pull off the reverse 3-0 and advance, definitely earning this comeback some bonus points. Also in Smash 64, Super Boomfan clinched his Port Priority 9 win a couple weekends ago with a beauty. Chris Kringle had a 3-1 stock lead with his Captain Falcon, but got a little too thirsty off stage and missed, giving Boom a new lease on life. With so much damage already racked up, Chris was still in a good spot, but given how explosive and touch of death Smash 64 can be, no lead is truly safe.
For the hook. Oh, Boom finds the up airs, and the up B's gonna finish it off. The tie killed! There it is for Super Boomfan.
Brawl isn't really the game to look at if you're interested in single game comebacks. If you want a crazy full set comeback, go watch Mewtwo King vs Otori from Apex 2013, which saw Mewtwo King go down 2-0 in a fashion that left him looking ready to quit the game entirely. Smash 4 had some explosive potential, but it was mostly played in a 2-stock meta, so it never really had a chance to produce big comebacks in the same way as the other Smash titles did. You did, however, occasionally see a snowball get rolling downhill though. At SmashCon 2016, Fatality was so desperate to solve Void Sheik that he switched from Captain Falcon to Mario. It looked like, quite honestly, a terrible counterpick, until he turned a near JV3 into one of Smaforsh's craziest single-game comebacks ever.
Dude, it's still not over. Yeah. I've seen Void SD with their...
Oh my god! Oh my goodness! Are you serious?
What did I just see?
Is this real?
Void would get the last laugh in this set though, so yeah, it gets knocked down a bit again. Where Smash 4 really provided drama was in its tension. In only a 2-stock meta, no lead was ever truly safe, as Samus main Pyrie showed us in a legendary finish, once again at Port Priority. Samus had a ridiculously powerful kill confirm in Smash 4 called the Shine Spark. It only worked when Samus had Rage from being at high percent thanks to the wonky ways that linking hitboxes like the early ones of Samus's up special interacted with Rage. Against floaties like, say, Luigi, dash attack into up B became a very scary and real kill confirm when Samus herself was at high percent, making situations like these insanely tense. And of course you can't talk about Smash 4 without talking about the timer. Some of this game's most dramatic moments were forged by the pressure of the clock, but this game between DeBuzz and Mr. R reminds us that the game truly isn't over until the announcer says time.
Oh, and he wants it. Just do it. I would just do it. Let's go to
He wants it.
Oh no! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Okay, so now that I've covered a bunch of examples from the entirety of the mainline Smash series, let's get into some comebacks that get closer to checking every box. I picked 2 from Melee and 2 from Ultimate that I think are the greatest examples of single game comebacks from each one, including the one that I think is each game's best comeback ever. If you think you know a better one, or if you can think of a comeback in a platform fighter that I didn't cover here that you think would be cool to show off, drop it in the comments or fight me, or I guess. And I don't know, I'll talk about it later. Sure. Can you subscribe? In Game 5 of Winners Finals of Luminosity Makes Moves Miami 2024, Tweak fell down 3 stocks to 1. Obviously, that's not great, but given Tweak's opponent, this was as bad as it could get. That was Sonic's on the other side, the best player in the world using the best character at running away and holding a lead. This is the guy who made the up the stock, you know the vibes into a meme, by the way, so up 2 stocks and the vibes have got to be utterly atrocious. Beyond the obvious stock deficit, Tweak had another problem. There was only a little over 3.5 minutes left on the clock, so Tweak wasn't just going to have to survive, he was going to have to find a way to take Sonic's stocks with swiftness. Tweak got the first one almost immediately, but Sonic's racked up a quick 100% that looked like it would snuff out any hope of a comeback. Remember, if the time runs out and you're even at stocks, the player who has more percent will lose the game. But then, Tweak found one of the craziest reversals in Ultimate you will ever see. He still had to scratch and claw his way through one more stock, but taking 2 stocks so quickly was absolutely massive. It took the pressure of the timer practically off of him and forced Sonics to play for the kill. But he just couldn't find it, and Tweak kept chipping away until...
Attack doesn't kill though! Great landing cover on the side B, still able to be on stage. Sonics, no way! Get no way! And he wins the stop! Tweak 200%! How? Walks off looking like a beast right now!
This one checks every box. It was Winners Finals of a 365-player event featuring international talent. It was Game 5. Tweak was pushed to his last stock, and I think what really sets this one apart in Ultimate history, though, is how it was against both a character and a player who seemed built to prevent exactly what Tweak managed to pull off.
You see that emotion from Tweak, you know he felt that. I felt that.
Let's go back now both to Melee and the 2000s. Its revival of Melee in 2009, and Mewtwo King is up 2-1 in Losers Finals. Unfortunately, Game 4 has started out pretty terribly for him. Down 3-1 against Falco on Yoshi's Story, things were looking bleak. He was able to get 1 stock pretty quickly, but DeShizWiz started racking up damage again, and it looked like he had stopped M2K's momentum. But as was Mewtwo King's kind of trademark at this point, all he really needed to get it back on his side was 1 grab. Once again, this is a high-stakes match, deep in bracket, and a comeback from a huge deficit. M2K definitely also gets some style points here for just how insanely explosive those last 2 stocks were. Pretty much the only thing holding this back is that M2K was only down 3 stocks to 1 rather than 4 stocks to 1, I guess. Obviously, this is still a huge comeback though, and this one definitely deserves some bonus points given Revival of Melee's importance in Melee history. This tournament came during a time when Melee's interest had declined in the wake of Brawl's release, and it was big explosive highlights like the one Mewtwo King gave everyone in Losers Finals that helped rekindle the Melee flame. EVO 2019 remains the only time Smash Ultimate appeared at the EVO Tournament series, and is still the largest Ultimate tournament of all time with 3,534 entrants. Facing elimination in Grand Finals down 2-1, MKLeo's Joker immediately fell down 3 stocks to 1 against Tweak's Pokemon trainer. The rest, as they say, is history.
Oh my god! Did he do it? Forward throw! He's gonna survive! Leo has our sent out! This could go either way!
Oh, he reads him, but he does not pull the trigger on that forward tilt, and now this could take him out! Oh!
This is the game that spawned Game 4 Leo, a phenomena that I covered extensively under PG Stats. We made a whole documentary about it, go watch it, it's awesome, but prior to this set, there was still debate over who the best player in Ultimate would be. This game right here was the start of Leo's reign as Ultimate's #1, and his ability to make comebacks like this over and over again was a big reason why he held that title for so long. MKLeo has always played sword characters. Joker and Meta Knight are more like dagger characters, but close enough, because they allow him to make the most of his incredibly precise spacing. Dating back to the Smash 4 days, he's shown an ability to enter this mode where he just can't get hit. He dances in and out of your threat range, finding hit after hit after hit while the opponent just swings at air. It didn't happen right away in this game. Leo took Tweak's first stock, and then Tweak came down as Squirtle and applied a quick 40%. That activated Arsene, and from there, Leo was unstoppable. He couldn't quite close it out before Arsene dipped though, and for the first time, Leo lost his grip on the match. Tweak had a few chances to close it out with Leo off stage. There was the down air that could have ended it, but instead of spiking, the late hit merely tapped Leo off stage. He had a couple of chances on the right side, but Leo was able to survive until Arsene returned again, and that was all he needed. Even without the context of EVO and the battle for #1 between Leo and Tweak, and the fact that this was part of a reverse 6-0 to win the biggest tournament of all time, this would have been an incredible comeback. Given its place in history though, it feels like, to me, an easy choice for Ultimate's greatest comeback. And finally, the comeback I would call the greatest in Melee history. The year is 2006, a mere 5 years after the game came out, and it's time for the biggest tournament of the year for European Melee, the Renaissance of Smash 3 in Gothenburg, Sweden. This was the largest European tournament of all time at this point, and Europe was not necessarily a super popular region to have major tournaments at, so this was a big deal, and it turned it into kind of a de facto European championship. Grand Finals pitted Sweden's best player, EK, against the Netherlands' best player, AMSA. For newer Smash players who may have heard the term AMSA Tech and thought it was referring to the red Yoshi AMSA, no, it's AMSA with an H, and not AMSA like the Yoshi. They're two different players. Okay, it's time to learn some history. AMSA Tech is referring to AMSA with an H, the Dutch Sheik, who was one of the greatest players of his era and the guy who made one of the greatest or the greatest comeback of all time. EK, the Marth player, was basically Swedish Ken in 2006. He had won the first 2 editions of Renaissance of Smash, and the only person who had defeated him in a Swedish tournament was the legendary Japanese Sheik player Captain Jack, who himself said he was as good as Ken after a very close Grand Final set, where Captain Jack came out on top at a tournament called Roof SM. AMSA was on a roll coming into the tournament himself, but with EK's history, he was still kind of the favorite. Other important context here, back then and in some tournaments, winners and grand finals of these tournaments were best of 7 sets because apparently they had all the time in the world in Sweden in 2006, and winners finals between AMSA and EK came down to a decisive Game 7. For the first 2 minutes, EK dominated the game. It wasn't like he just ripped 3 quick 0-to-deaths and had the lead. Instead, EK was a rock, holding center stage and not giving AMSA any space whatsoever to find his footing. It took until AMSA's 3rd stock for him to rack up any meaningful damage. With 5 minutes and 37 seconds left on the clock, AMSA was sitting on the Angel platform with his final stock, and EK still had 4 stocks remaining and 140% on him. As AMSA said in an interview with Samox in a clip that went unused in the Smash documentary, which is linked in the description by the way, and is entirely worth the 6-minute watch, he had already kind of assumed he was going to lose. He just wanted to put up enough of a fight that he could recover his own mental state. AMSA was not the kind of player who gets 4-stocked. He wanted to prove, more to himself than EK, that he could fight back and put himself in a better mental position for Grand Finals. He took the 1st stock, the 2nd stock was a grind, and all of these trades were definitely working in EK's favor, but eventually AMSA took that one too. And then AMSA got the opening that turned it into a game again. Suddenly, the tables had turned. EK technically still had the lead, but the momentum was all the way on AMSA's side, and EK was now the one with the potential to get embarrassed. AMSA kept playing loose, and EK tightened up. And then, history was made. Part of AMSA's legend became that he was actually impossible to 4-stock. He had never been 4-stocked up until that point, and it didn't happen until 2015, for the first and only time in his career, when an AMSA who hadn't been grinding the way he had in his prime finally got 4-stocked by some guy named Armada? I think he was pretty good back then, but anyway, this win established AMSA as the best player in Europe, a title that he wouldn't relinquish until that Armada dude showed up on the scene in 2009. So how does this one do with our checkboxes? 4 stocks to 1 comeback? Check. Biggest tournament of the year for his scene? Check. Top level opponent? Check. High stakes? Yeah, Game 7 is high stakes, that's a check. Even with nearly 20 years of Melee history made since Renaissance of Smash 3, we still haven't really seen a performance like this in a winner-take-all game. There is, of course, so much more Melee left to be played, but we very well might never see it played like that ever again, which is what makes the anatomy of a comeback so cool. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much to my top tier patrons and YouTube members. All of the funding that goes into these like money funnel thingy things they go right back into my channel. So thank you, I appreciate it. It helps me continue to do this for all of you. Thanks so much to Avishua Stein, Bobby Wasabi, Brent Mukai, Carter Roberts, Dark Genix, Eric is Cool, Gustavo Cantu Fernandez, James Fabman, Justin Duncan Mills, Kyle Carlin, Marshall Bradley, and Sam Wright.